All right, so we are here today. We are going to go over our vision statement, and then we're going to address a problem and go over some interventions and some articles that could go along with this. Talk about our focus question, our implementations. We've got 2 of those, the results from those, and then the conclusion that we gather from that. So we're going to start off going over our vision statement, and I actually have a PowerPoint that would potentially be shown up on the screen so everybody can see it as well. So our vision statement is to help inspire students to develop the self-confidence and independence required to succeed in the real world in the coming years, and encourage colleagues to expand our potential and become more productive, ethical, and compassionate members of our professional learning community. So today, we're talking about, after many weeks of watching the students, I have one student that can identify letters. He writes them correctly, but writes from right to left. So when looking at this and looking at interventions and articles and all the things, we put together that he is left-handed. So some left-handed students may be tempted to start writing on the right side of the page rather than on the left. This is actually from an article that I have shared here with you guys, and it says that putting a dot at the beginning of the line may help them start in the correct place. There's also something else from the other article that I shared with you guys that tells you to teach skills by mirroring. That left-handers, the way their brains work, when they see things, teaching it by a mirroring position. So if you're teaching them to tie their shoe, you could sit across from them and show them that way instead of beside them. The way their brain works, that's just easier for them to understand. And when we're talking about this, I actually have 2 left-handed children, and so this is kind of hit home to me. Very interesting articles, very interesting reads, and very good techniques that I can implement on a day-to-day basis, even at home. So the second article gives a quote that says, teach skills by mirroring. When it comes to things like tying shoes, sit across from the left-handed student instead of next to them. You'll be mirroring the behavior, making it easier for them to follow along with the correct hand. So the student we're talking about is 4 years old. The focus question is being left-handed causing the student to write the incorrect way? Or is this just how learning takes place? Or is there a deeper problem like dyslexia or something like that we should dive into? So we're going to go over some of the baselines and the end results when we talk about the conclusion. So to start out, the student writes his name in the correct order, meaning his name is Hayes. So he will do Hayes, but he might start here and then do the A to the left of it and then do the Y. So he writes them in the correct order, just not on the paper, if that makes sense, just as an example. So that is the baseline that we're going off of when we start to do these implementations. So the first implementation is the dot placement method. And I'm going to show you guys the example and then actually show you the results of when it was done. Dots are placed where each letter should be placed. So the teacher ensures the paper is tilted to the correct angle for a left-handed student because that is different than if the student was right-handed, and then uses her voice to help guide when needed. Also, to take note into this, grip of the pen is different for a left-handed student and oftentimes is harder for them to understand and grasp as a young child. So here is an example, and I've also put it up on the screen of what you guys can see. So I've actually put dots across the paper. His name is 5 letters long and it starts with an H and ends with an S. So I have not, because he has mastered writing the name up here and then copying it below. He has mastered that. It's when he does this on his own. So I put the H over here because he knows his name starts with an H. That way he knows to start here. And then I will use my voice to help guide when needed. I will let him go, and then if he needs guided or intervention, I will come in there. So the results. When we did this activity, the student wrote all but 1 letter in the correct order. So we still struggle with writing our S, and that is the only letter that he messed up on. So very pleased with this implementation. And I'll actually show you guys his work. So he started here, not right on the dots by any means. The Y and the E kind of overlap each other. And then here's his S, kind of random. But so far, so much better. We will keep practicing that and keep implementing that into our day-to-day activities. And then the second implementation did not go as well. So it was the mirroring activity. So we talked about tying the shoes, sitting across from each other. When teaching left-handed students, it's easier for them to understand something as you sit across from them so they can mirror you. And I've actually got this posted up on the PowerPoint. The technique was used to perform the drawing activity as the teacher told the students to draw shapes from left to right on the paper. So the teacher used their voice, me, and said, draw a circle, draw a square, draw this, start on this side of the paper and go to this. I really think he was too young for this activity. He just drew shapes randomly all over the paper, did not go left to right. So we will work on that one. I think that was a little more too advanced for him, but it was a good baseline to see where he was at with these. So in conclusion, the dot method worked fabulous for him. He still needed a little bit of guidance as far as here's your H, start. So the next time we do it, we may only leave the S on the page or only leave the H on the page. We'll keep changing it up so that he keeps pushing himself and bettering himself in that situation. And then we'll work on our S, all in all, on writing it. And then just continue to work on our left and right and starting on this side of the paper and going that way. When we read books, I meant to mention this in the baseline. When we read books, he does turn left to right in the pages. So he knows that is the correct order to go. So it's just the process of learning it and implementing this this focus problem, baseline, intervention, all the things. So that wraps up our meeting for today. We will keep implementing these. Implementation 2, I think, kind of put that out the window until he's a little bit older and more advanced. Implementation 1, continue using that. And then we will come back and reassess in a few weeks to see if his results have gotten any better. So, awesome job.